Once upon a time, in a lush green jungle, deep within the emerald embrace of the ancient trees, lived a baby tiger named Roary. Now, Roary was no ordinary tiger. His stripes were a little wider, his roar a little squeakier, and his heart a lot bigger than any other tiger cub you ever did see. If nobody else could hear it, he would find it all by himself. So as soon as the sky turned the color of ripened mangoes and the first stars peeked out like curious eyes, Rory slipped away from the den. Every full moon, Rory the baby tiger heard it, a soft glowing melody drifting through the trees. It beckoned to him with promises of magic and moonlight, but only he could hear it. Every full moon, the animals would gather for their nightly slumber, and Rory would strain to listen, hoping against hope that they too could hear the song. So he climbed higher and higher until he reached the owl's eyrie, only to find the old bird fast asleep. And as he watched, he realized it was blinking in time with the song. Hope surged through him, and he dashed after the blinking light, leaping over logs and racing along narrow forest paths. Startled, Rory tumbled out of the tree and landed with a soft thud on a bed of fragrant moss. But the song was coming from the other side. So Rory carefully made his way across the slippery stones. "You silly little tiger, the Moonlight song isn't somewhere you can go and find. It's something you can only hear when the moon is full and the forest is still." But they couldn't. They just looked at him curiously, or, worse still, yawned and snuggled into their furry beds. But the song, the beautiful, haunting melody, it was nowhere to be heard. "Well, hello there," they chirped, their voices as musical as running water. "What brings you to our side of the stream?" "I'm sorry, Mama," he whispered. "I got scared and ran off without telling you." "Oh, Rory," she cried, nuzzling him with her wet nose. As the moon climbed higher in the sky and the forest grew quiet, a new sound filled his ears, a soft, sweet melody, like the tinkling of a tiny bell. It was the song. "I was so worried. I knew you'd be all right, but I was afraid something might have happened to you." Curiosity sparked within him. He wanted to follow, but he knew his mother wouldn't like that. He wanted to hear the song again, even if it meant another night alone. Suddenly, a firefly blinked in rhythm with the tune. Above, an old owl hooted in harmony. Even the wind that rustled through the leaves joined in the song. One night, Rory decided he'd had enough of being the only one who knew about the song. And the first stars peeked out, Rory would slip away from the den and pad silently to his clearing. There he would stand beneath the silver light, his tiny voice joining the chorus of the forest, singing the song of the moon until the sun chased away the shadows, and it was time to return home. Mustering all his courage, he crept out of the den and into the clearing. As he stepped into the circle of moonlight, the sound of the song grew louder, filling him with a sense of peace and belonging. With a final warning to be careful, she settled back down, pretending to sleep as Rory padded silently out of the den. It's always stronger near the river. The clearing, the song, the moon, the stars, the deer, the owl, the firefly, it was all a part of him, and he was a part of it. He wasn't alone. His mother, sensing his departure, unfurled herself from her slumber and let out a low, rumbling growl. "Where are you going, little one?" "It's not safe in the forest at night." "I'm going to find the Moonlight song," he declared, his voice barely a whisper. "I can't wait any longer." His voice was tiny, but it blended with the others, and the forest seemed to sigh in harmony. She sighed, knowing there was no reasoning with such determination. He walked slowly, his head hanging low. Maybe the song didn't want to be found. Maybe it was just a dream. The memory of the song still echoed within him, and he knew now that he wasn't just a little tiger cub living in a big, scary forest. He was part of something bigger, something more beautiful than he could have ever imagined. Shadows stretched and twisted into spooky shapes among the trees, and strange sounds rustled in the undergrowth. First, Rory followed the melody, pushing through thick, leafy branches that scratched at his soft belly and brushing past velvety ferns that tickled his face. Now, the forest at night was a different world. High above, an old, wise owl hooted softly, and in its hoot, Rory thought he heard the faintest echo of a song. As he sat there, catching his breath, he noticed a firefly blinking slowly in the distance. The firefly led him to a babbling brook, its light dancing on the water's surface as if inviting him to follow. Suddenly, a family of otters popped out from their holts, their sleek bodies glistening in the moonlight. Rory hesitated, then blurted out, "I'm looking for the Moonlight song. Have you heard it?" The otters exchanged glances. "The Moonlight song," they repeated in unison, their voices echoing with amusement. Disappointed, Rory slumped onto a nearby stone. The otters, seeing his crestfallen face, couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. "Tell you what," said the mother otter, "why don't you come spend the night with us? You can listen for the song from here." And so Rory spent the night with the otters, listening to the gurgling of the brook and the hooting of the distant owl. As the first rays of sunlight touched the dew-kissed leaves, Rory thanked the otters for their hospitality and headed back home. He arrived back at the den to find his mother anxiously pacing. He hugged her back, feeling her warm body and smelling her sweet scent, realizing how much he'd missed her. "It's all right, little one," she soothed, licking his ear. "Just come back here. You're safe now." But as the hours passed and the familiar sounds of the forest filled his ears, a strange longing grew in Rory's heart. That's when he noticed something. He looked around, trying to locate the source, and saw a deer stepping away from the others, moving gracefully into a small clearing bathed in silver light. So instead, he crept closer to the entrance of the den, peeking out into the night. What he saw took his breath away. In the clearing, the deer stood still as the music swelled, and every note seemed to echo the beating of his own heart. It was the most beautiful thing Rory had ever seen. He took a step forward, then another, and before he knew it, he was singing too. Then something magical happened. When the first rays of sunlight touched the leaves the next morning, Rory awoke in his den, his heart brimming with joy. And every full moon, as the sky turned the color of ripened mangoes,